I'll switch to English, reading from the second letter of the Apostle Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verses 6 to 10. The God who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of God's glory in the face of Christ. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels to show that the great power belongs to God and not to us. We are troubled in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not killed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be shown in our bodies. Amen. Splendor and Misery of Christian Mission. This title, dear brothers and sisters, we could give the verses we have just read, because they tell us what the apostles are in the eyes of God by virtue of what God wanted to do with them, and what they are in the eyes of the world, for other people or even for themselves, as they have different eyes, will and plans, often opposed to God's. We too are like this, suspended between misery and glory, between death and life. On the one hand, we are assured that our hearts are the screen on which God projects his glory so that everyone could see it. On the other hand, we are warned that we have this treasure in the earthen vessels of clay, that we are in all humility and physical and spiritual fragility. We who are troubled in every way, we who reflect everything except God's glory. But is this we meant to include us too, or maybe just the apostles of old? Well, dear sisters and brothers, it depends on what we want to do with this preaching of the Apostle Paul, which is still open to association in the name of the one God and Lord, yesterday in Corinth and today in Palermo. If we welcome it, then Paul's "we" can really mean we and you together in the splendor and misery of Christian mission. No doubt, Paul's faith speaks here along his concrete experience. Paul, a great witness of Jesus Christ, but also a great misunderstood one. A great fighter for the gospel, but also strongly persecuted for the same cause. He did not write these words to make himself a hero before or over other Christians, but in order to invite and warn those willing to share his misery as well as his glory. Us too, yes, if it is true that for us Paul of Tarsus is not Saint Paul, but our brother Paul, an earthen vessel like us, a brother not only in faith but also in weakness, suffering and doubt, not only in life but also in death, not only in the splendor but also in the misery of Christian mission. Elder brother, yes, because the trials that Paul had to face were certainly greater. His tribulations were harder, his confusion was deeper, his persecutions and his defeats for Jesus Christ's sake were more threatening and painful than what we have experienced up to now, and therefore his faith and experience of him, his knowledge of the glory of God, and his humility must have been greater too. Elder brother, who honors us by calling us brothers and sisters, and calls us to take on the burden of the apostles of the crucified God before being resurrected with him to eternal glory, the honor and burden of the cross. Because the light of the knowledge of God's glory that God himself, the Almighty Creator, wanted to shine in our hearts, and not only in the hearts of the apostles of the first hour, is the same light that shines in the face of Jesus Christ, crucified for love. God, with a human face, he was troubled in every way and crushed, perplexed and driven to despair, persecuted and forsaken, struck down and killed, and therefore glorified. A glory that of Jesus, like that of Paul, which has nothing to do with the lights and glories of this world of ours. Our God is a jealous God. He cannot bear other people or things being worshipped in his place. Not on a whim, out of love. Because even the most noble of ideals or values, once placed on the altars, becomes an idol, and idols make us poor. First by demanding our money, then our freedom, and finally our blood. This is why God always chooses earthen vessels to show his power. For this reason, as in the story of Jacob's vocation, or that of Mary of Nazareth, as well as of all Lord's servants we may know through the Bible, God always chooses the people we would think of last. For this reason, as Paul himself writes in his first letter to the Corinthians, there are not among us, many wise people according to the flesh, nor many powerful, nor many noble, because God has chosen the vile things of the world and the despised things, even the things that are not, to bring to nothing the things that are or claim they are, so that no one can boast before God, or, as our text today explains, to show that the great power belongs to God and not to us. Our brother Paul could not have been more honest than that. He revealed the splendor to us, but he did not hide from us the miseries, the dangers, the suffering, the hardships which we all have to face once we have agreed to follow Jesus Christ, the God crucified out of love, not only with our mouths, with our heads, or with our heart, but with our whole being, with our whole life, even with our arms and legs. The only assurance, neither misery, nor danger, nor suffering, nor hardship will ever prevail over anyone who agrees to follow Jesus. Troubled in every way, perhaps, yes. Crushed, no. Perplexed, maybe, yes. Desperate, no. Persecuted, perhaps, yes. Forsaken, no. Struck down, maybe, yes, but killed with death without hope of resurrection, never. This is Paul's experience. This is the experience of all men and women who have agreed to follow Jesus Christ. May this, dear sisters and brothers, in our small way, also be our own experience, and before that, our own faith. Amen.